Okay, video 8. That means that this is week 8. That means that at the end of this week, we are completed with one half of this semester. Can you imagine that? You probably say it seemed like a whole semester. But nonetheless, we have completed one half of the semester. I hope that in any of your endeavors it's going well. I hope that you've kept up with at least a chapter a week. If you've worked ahead, that is your choice, and that is great. If you have worked behind, that is also your choice. And I support you in making your choices, whatever they may be. This is chapter 8. This is really an interesting chapter. Eating and sleep-wake disorders. A lot of individuals, you may not believe this, but a lot of individuals, when they become depressed, when they become a little anxious, when they may be in a panic situation, not always, they either eat more or they eat less. In some instances, the refrigerator becomes their friend. And if they're not feeling quite right, they go open up the refrigerator, take something out of the refrigerator, and they eat it. Ah, what a relief. Okay. I know this happens. Maybe not in your life, but I've certainly had it happen in my life already. Down a little bit, not feeling up to par, and open the refrigerator up. Oh, that looks so good. Well, I don't think I have an eating disorder. I mean, there's nothing wrong with the way I eat. It's in pretty good working shape, so I might have a pretty good eating order. All right. But we have types of eating disorders. We have bulimia nervosa. This is where an individual will stuff themselves, and then they will put their fingers down their throat, or a laxative, which would probably go down their throat also. But they'll get rid of what they have eaten. And it makes them feel so good to eat and eat and eat. I had one mother tell me that she was buying mayonnaise by the gallon. Her daughter just loved mayonnaise. And pretty soon, this mother said, she'd buy a big jar of mayonnaise, and in no time at all, it was gone. Well, her daughter was bulimic, and her daughter would go in and purge on mayonnaise, put her fingers down her throat, and vomit all over the place, get acid on her vocal cords, get acid on her teeth, and all of this, and then sit back. Oh, I feel so good. All right, well, that's bulimia. I'm not making fun of bulimia. But eating orders are really something that are interesting, and they're serious. And how we get eating disorders, it's like I said, a person feels a little bit down, they run to the refrigerator, and then if the refrigerator or the contents of the refrigerator makes them feel good, they may go back to the refrigerator. I just really enjoy watching individuals eat and the amount that they eat, because we are in a culture that is centered around food. I'm going to say that again. We are in a culture that is centered around food. How can I make this appetizing? How can I make that appetizing? And of course, we want good food. There's nothing wrong with food. I enjoy eating. But if you look at it, our holidays, whatever we have, and I think it's great. I like to see a holiday table with all of the trimmings on it and the main dish, whatever the main dish may be. I enjoy it. But I sit back and I think, hey, this culture, our society, is centered around food. Let's go run downtown and eat a bite. See? It's never, let's go run downtown and then we'll run back home and eat a bite. It's, let's run downtown and we'll eat a bite and then we'll come home. Okay, well, these develop into serious, very serious eating disorders. We have bulimia, the purging. We have anorexia nervosa. You can die from this. And some individuals on anorexia, they're not satisfied with their weight until they stop cycling. And then once they stop cycling, they say, well, maybe I am thin enough. Then we have binge eating disorders. And this is kind of interesting because I think I'm a binge eater. I go to the refrigerator, I just find something that I haven't had for a while that I really like the taste of. I will binge on it. I will. I don't consider myself, like I say, I don't consider myself with disorder, and I don't think I'm that much overweight. Feel pretty good about myself. But anyway, I can understand any and all of these disorders and how they can happen. Now, we go back and almost if a person was going to receive an invitation to eat at one of the three eating disorders house, I would probably choose the anorexia nervosa. Those individuals, a lot of times they'll have cookbooks. And sometimes you'll see them in a grocery store. And the grocery cart is loaded with groceries. Going on with our culture, I find this really interesting because now the federal government, our United States of America, has come out with some really, really strong mandates. And, they want kids to eat healthy in school. They don't want them to have candy. I'm just wondering, how many of you folks have had candy when you were little? And how harmful was that? I don't know. I think that candy and kids kind of go together. You'll say, well, you can't have candy and kids. That's just not a good combination. Man, I loved candy when I was a kid. On occasion, I still do. And I think it's part of growing up. I don't know. In Washington State, if a kid has a birthday in school, they can no longer bring cupcakes because cupcakes are not healthy. Who says so? The federal government. And if you have cupcakes, they might send a drone to come in and spy at you through the window and watch you eat one of these cupcakes, and then you're going to lose your recess. No, I don't know. It's probably not that serious. They probably wouldn't send a drone. But I find it really interesting how our lives are controlled. One of the mandates that the government has is don't step in manure because you might slip. That's pretty good advice. Okay. Obesity in itself is not considered an eating disorder. Now think about this. Obesity is not considered an eating disorder. Bulimia, anorexia, and binge eating are all considered eating disorders. Obesity is not an eating disorder, but we're not going to have cupcakes in our school system because that could lead to obesity. You'll have to figure that. I can't figure it out. You'll have to figure that out for me. But about 70% of our adults are overweight. I believe in being healthy. I really do believe in being healthy. I just really don't believe in being ridiculous. Okay. All right. 70% are overweight. About 35% are obese. Oh, but they won't be obese anymore because we're taking out the cupcakes. All right. Lady Gaga was anorexic in high school, thinking that thin is better. Now, here's one of the things that really interests me is that young as 3 think they're overweight, 6 to 8, 50% think they're overweight, and 9-year-olds, 20%, 14-year-old girls, 40% think they're overweight. In the sleep disorders, the dysomnia is a disturbance of sleep, such as narcolepsy or apnea. Parasomnia, sleepwalking or nightmares. So I'm going to conclude this with this area here. It is an important area. I'm not trying to rush through it. The text does a good job in it. And you know what I'm going to do? I am going to go out right now, and in spite of all that I've said, I'm going to have me a cupcake. See you after break.